Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel for a very special video. Now, I don't normally do these background to the channel type videos, and I thought, like, as a weekend video, it'd be nice to kind of learn a bit about, you know, how I put together a Marvel Contest of Champions new show. So I'm going to go over, like, where I'm going to research stuff, what stories I choose to cover, why I don't cover everything, the reasons for creating the show, all that stuff, including where I edit, which is I use something called powerdirector. I've got the sort of recent one, powerdirector 17, which has everything I need to edit. Let's begin with why I created Marvel Contest of Champions news. Well, I didn't create anything. Anybody that just informed you of information that comes into Marvel Contest of Champions is talking on news and as well is delivering information out to the community. But I do retain a lot of time in order to research what I'm doing and do the best job I can to give the most accurate information. And yeah, that's why like most videos have like the descriptions with links to where I got the info from, because I do believe in that. You know, you've got to put the info of where you got the stuff first and foremost when you're talking about a topic. And as well, there's a secondary part to kind of like, well, there's three parts to how I kind of talk about something or why I talk about something. The second part to this is the collection of ideas and as well the topic itself. So if there's a bug which is a problem for a certain player, it may be a case of going like, okay, you singularly are having this problem. And that's important to kind of put it on things like the forum or at least have a support ticket. And why that's so important is that just so I can then go, okay, so there's a receipts kind of paper trail of the situation at large. Going further than that to say like, okay, so players are coming together in certain threads to talk about one specific issue, which is again important because it is allowing everybody to raise the problem. And then it comes to the third point. The third point is all about Kabam answering against these problems. This is why it's so important to me to have that interaction with Kabam in the situation, because if there's a bug that many players are experiencing and as well Kabam are answering it, then that gives more information. You can rant, you can rave, you can make a video and just say this is a problem. This is definitely a problem for players. But here's the thing. If Kabam aren't doing anything about that and you're not helping out by directing people in the correct area, or at least informing the greater population of the player base that this is an issue, then we're all part of like the problem here. So that's the reason that I decide to kind of make sure Kabam are answering most of the time. Sometimes they're not, but at the same time, that's part of the second and third thing. Part two is the collection of people that are coming together for one specific problem. And as I said, the third part is Kabam answering against it. Yes, at times I don't really answer against certain things, but you know, when we look at a situation like here, the incursions bug, then that's something that Kabam have seen. A lot of players have experienced it and they've indeed answered against it, or at least they are aware of the thread, they're aware of the bug, they're aware of the problem. Having support tickets does go above and beyond as well, because what it does is it ties Kabam to an answer against that issue, and then we can then add further pressure when it comes to like making positive change for the player base. I really decided to go on this formula as I just felt that it was the best thing to do from a journalistic point of view, and as well from an integrity and accurate information delivery to the community. We've had some really bad issues where it's really required me to kind of like either put something in the show side of things. So again, just to explain, there is a show on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. There may be some very kind of like quick alert information that I need to give out to the player base, but I decided to not make this a daily thing because I just didn't want to have at least 5 videos about, you know, 3 bugs and then 2 other topics, because it's just something that I can't work on other content, guides, as well as deep dives, information, crystal openings, and other stuff that I would like to do on this channel. So that's one of the other reasons as well that you don't see about 5 to at least 10 videos a day on just like 5-minute subjects. I kind of feel that the Monday, Wednesday, Friday narrative of the show works. So it's usually like I said, a formula that works for me, and as well when I've kind of asked people what they like to see. Okay, so I guess better talk about research. Where do I go to research stuff? Well, there's always like great amount of stuff when it comes to Reddit, but a lot of the time it's all about kind of well, trying to find something that is worth covering. Yes, there's stuff like, you know, guides, information and things. There's a lot of memes, but I kind of feel like I did do like a meme review type thing at times. So I just felt that it was like, not really worth it to kind of go down that route. There's also Twitter. Like on Twitter, you can find there's good discussions. There's Gabriel Fazera on there talking about stuff that he's working on, and as well like other things. And I get info from players as well as to what they're experiencing, as well as, you know, arena results, which, as I said, are kind of an important thing for me to be putting on my Discord. So like on Discord, we do have a room which is arena results, and this is great because, you know, Marvel True Costs and everybody in the arena, I think it's arena history and arena night, I think they put together great information, but a lot of the time that comes out after the arena starts, and a lot of players want to pre-plan. So you know, go to Marvel True Costs for info, go to Otriux, go to MCC Journal, go to whoever for like the full kind of breakdown of results. But you know, if you want to pre-plan, which is what I try and deliver about 5 to 6 hours, then please come and submit your results into here, as I'll be kind of putting up more kind of like things like this, just to kind of give you a bit of a perspective, a little bit of heads up, so you can, as I said, pre-plan. And the final part on research is me researching stuff takes around about, I'd say, an hour, and I normally do that on a Sunday night. The final part when it comes to research is just to let you know I research for about an hour, and that's like an hour the previous night, and kind of like figure out like what is important to cover, what players will be interested to see, and also have a look at what players are saying to me, Rich, you should cover this. There's also a lot of times that there's stuff that I'd like to put in, but I end up cutting for time, because the problem is I don't want to make the show go past 15 minutes. Before it was like 12 to kind of like 15, but I kind of felt that there was more dissection and more information that I needed to cover for players. So yes, at times I'm very particular what goes into the show. There's also some stuff that, as I said, I cut for time. When I'm creating the show, say for a Monday, I will put together just a link to the specific page, as well as a quick kind of like, not script, but kind of like structure as to what I'm reading off for the first kind of big stories, which is like, and that's it. So like, this is the Monday one. And then yeah, there's like the need for putting time codes in, so that's important as well. Now once I've got my stories, I've got the info I want to cover, and as well I've got an idea of how I want to present it, I'll then look at recording it. And recording can take anywhere between, I'd say, 30 minutes to about an hour. Again, that depends on stuff. I've got it now kind of wrapped down to a time frame that I'm not kind of slopping up my words too much. I don't have to do multiple takes, because I'm like, look, I need the time. I need to make sure that if I'm doing it recording for an hour, then that's not a total waste of time, especially because I have a very tight window to get the show out. I'm always strict on that. The biggest problem is if I release the Marvel Contest of Champions news show later than midday UK time, which is like 1200 hours GMT, then it won't do as well. And if it doesn't perform as well, it means that I can't make enough money to cover my bills for that day. So that's something that is incredibly key, and time is incredibly sensitive. Because the whole process of making a show, it normally takes about 5 hours from start to finish, if I include creation of thumbnails right the way through to the research and time that it takes to get the stories for the show. I've had people at times say to me, why don't you just pay an editor to kind of do this? Unfortunately, it's not financially viable to do that. Maybe if the channel kind of grows a lot more, then that would be great. But that's like the essence of like why people should come back to view content, especially on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays when I do this show, because so much time and effort goes in. So that's why, and one key reason, I do thank the patrons, the YouTube members, and as well Twitch subscribers, because that's the thing, it's helping support me do this as a full-time thing. So yeah, that's one of the key things. But yeah, like the way that I put together the show is that it is just one complete file that's then chopped up in multiple bits, and then what it's done from there is it's then got like little sections which cover certain subjects, and they form the basis of where the time codes are. I think it's a no-brainer with that when it comes to creation, and as well when it comes to like the track. So I use a free audio track from YouTube with 2 of them. These are 2 new additions. I changed the old 2 because I did not like the sound of it, and they are kind of like more of a background noise. But you know, if I kind of like play it right now, it's going to be really loud. Now tier 1. So yeah, it's like it's got that. That's the kind of the sound of it. But I've kind of like lowered it down so it's more of a lower kind of tone. There's some sort of like Canadian, so you can't properly hear it. But if I was to kind of like up the sound of it today, it does present an issue. You can hear it slightly in the background, so apologies if there was any. I'll try and kind of like in the edit try and make sure that it's kind of like a bit more kind of pleasant for you. The show itself is like, it's created very simplistically. I'm not here to kind of like do it as some kind of news reporter, because then that ruins the kind of the vibe of, look, I'm just a guy in a room making some videos on YouTube, because that's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted it to be. I didn't want it to be too much like green screen and kind of like overproduction, and at times there's a lot of kind of like zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out stuff. And yeah, that's fine from time to time. I can do that, but it is something that I have to consider. That will this take a lot longer to edit and the process of trying to get it out? Yeah, but again, it just goes down to people coming out to support this as well. Like, I'm happy to do that, but at the same time, I'd hope that people would want to come back and view, and also hopefully in greater number, to cover a lot of the information that goes out for the community. If anyone's interested as well how I make thumbnails now, here's an example here. I use something called GIMP 2.0. Yeah, it's a weird name. A lot of the times it's just taking things in and dropping it in a certain way. MCOC News show is done in a certain way that I have color schemes that I go through. So I'll have like purple, yellow, red, green, and I go cycle through them and have one key character on one side, and then, you know, the topic. It's kind of weird with MCOC News because you have to kind of give people what you want to see, what you want them to see, but at the same time they need something to interest them to actually want to view the video. And that's why I've tried to the best of my ability not to make it so kind of clickbaity in the way that it's delivered. I mean, take this for example. I've had many people say to me, like, Rich, what about the Summoner Appreciation calendar? So I thought, right, I'll put this into the show because it is coming close. In 2 months' time, this calendar will either be in or Kaban won't put it in. So that was something that I thought was kind of like a good topic. They've got the incursions bug there, and also the low arena cutoff there for that. I actually messed up this. I was meant to put low arena scores and then 41 mil, and then kind of like have like an arrow pointing there. But also with this, and I did do a second variation, which ended up being the final one, which looks like there. So it just adds in the little arrow to there, and then something that says spicy, and then kind of putting more emphasis on these 2 bits of rewards here. And then also I put like, also includes 6-star Medusa and parry curse bug. I'm still toying about with trying to put like extra bits to say like, okay, so if somebody doesn't want to view this because, well, I don't care about an incursion bug, or I don't care about the Summoner Appreciation calendar coming in. We used to say like, okay, well, if there's something in these bottom kind of 2 bits that might kind of interest you, then that could be something down the line that I do. So that's just the process really of doing these. Something that's inviting, also interesting, but also different on the color palette each time, that, you know, it can interest people to click on the video, which, look, I need to do in order to kind of like make a living. There's 2 things that I want to talk about that do interact one another, and that's monetization and performance. 2 very key things. I do this as a full-time job, so therefore if I did 5 hours worth of work into something, I would hope that I would get paid for it. That's really the thing there. And people may question like, oh, content creators, you shouldn't earn money from doing this. And it's like, well, should the same thing be for television people? Because, you know, it's personalities and stuff. Anything that you recorded and put in for content and you watching it, regardless if it's on YouTube, Netflix, or any other thing that you've got to pay for, then there's a big theoretical, theological, and big question with it. And let's just put that to the side, because, you know, it is important that things go well and videos do well. I've got a live performance of a recent video. This is the Monday video at the moment. And you can really see where the kind of situations with notifications are, with like, most of the time browser features, that's me relying on the search tags. So me putting Marvel Contest of Champions or MCOC into my search tags when I'm putting the video out. That's where you're largely seeing this. And at times it can be very unfair to certain creators. There's a lot more Marvel Contest of Champions creators nowadays, and trying to get people interested in your channel is a lot more difficult nowadays than it's ever been, especially depending on the content that you're known for. So suggested 4.3%, notifications 4.1%. This is the important thing about when you see the video pop up in your sub boxes. Please consider watching and supporting the channel. You've got YouTube searches and then external info. That's Twitter, that's Discord and stuff like that. So it really gives you an idea of like where the source of information is coming, and also a lot of times of how, as a creator, especially in the MCOC side of things, you've got to adapt to survive. But at the end of the day, I just want to say that I love creating this show. It is just so much fun to do, to kind of gather the information, inform players of what's going on, as well as inform players of bugs to avoid, content that may have problems within it, what Kabam are doing against the stuff that's been reported, because that's another kind of key thing as well. And I just thought I'd do this video because I've never done a background video as to like how I create stuff, why I create stuff, and at the same time why people may say like, oh, I sent this to Rich but he's not responding. Oh, FYI, if you send me stuff on the Line app, I quit it 8 months ago. So if you send me stuff, please do it on Discord, as that's the best way to kind of like for me to catalog it, or do a forum thread and send it to me, and that'll be perfect. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This is a little bit of a backstage kind of interview thing, and yeah, thanks for watching. You can check out some other content located up here, and as well, support the channel as normal by hitting the like button, and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.